if you want to check this stuff out and connect with me more. The best place to get me is definitely on YouTube, Instagram, or Twitter. My website will just give you some general information on what I've got going on. But let's get into the Bookmap stuff, everybody. Let's talk Bookmap. So my thing is like, Bookmap can be very complicated, and I don't want Bookmap to be complicated for you. I want you to find success with simplicity. I know Scott Pulcini, as many of you guys probably know, Scott is a Bookmap wizard, like a real wizard. I actually had him on my podcast a few weeks ago, and we're planning on doing another one again soon. He's amazing. His Bookmap, though, is way different than the way that I use Bookmap. What you're seeing on your screen right now, I trade futures. I trade futures with prop firms, these proprietary trading firms that will fund you if you can trade well. So I'm usually trading ES, which is the futures contract for SPY. I have guys that I work with that are trading NQ. We have guys that are trading YM. So mainly the US indices. No stocks, no options. However, this morning, I did have Sang Lucci, who's an options guy, on stream, and he was talking to us about how futures traders can actually use options levels where market makers want to conduct business for really good futures trades and understanding the range. But Bookmap to me is kind of like a dynamic tool that allows me to see intraday ranges. I'll say it again. Bookmap is the tool I'm using to find intraday ranges. As a VWAP trader, what I'm really looking for is some of the levels, if not all of the levels that I see on Bookmap, to line up with the levels that I see on VWAP. So let me break down my Bookmap settings first so you guys understand what I'm looking at. And that way, if you want to copy these settings, you can do that. Again, there's just so much customization that can go into Bookmap. I think it's important to touch on this first, and then I'll show you today even how we traded using the Bookmap. And it's something we can do live here, and I can show you live trade ideas. The thing about trading, and I'll tell you just a quick story, like where I come from as a trader. I started trading candle formations, which some of you may be doing right now. And I'm not going to be the person that ever talks negatively to another trading strategy like candle formations, but I'll just say it didn't work for me. And I'll give Brian Shannon, who's the godfather of the VWAP, a lot of credit. As a mentor to me, one of the things that he said that always stuck with me was price pays. The P&L at the end of the month doesn't care if you got in on this doji formation or this shooting star engulfing formation. It cares, did you buy at a lower price than you sold, or did you sell at a higher price than you bought back in, right? So price pays. And what Bookmap really does for me in one part, the VWAP being the other part, but the Bookmap part shows me the levels that price wants to pull to. So throughout the day, no matter what the market makers that Lucci was talking about as the options market, no matter what they want to do, I can still see the liquidity here, especially because this is a centralized market with futures running through the CME. And you can't say that for many things. Coming from Forex, like Bruce said, you don't have a centralized market. So you don't get the accurate information in Forex that you do here in futures. So what I like to use on Bookmap is the most important thing, the current order book. I'm using the numbers of contracts to tell me where price may pull to as a magnet. I don't know if it's going to get filled and we're going to go higher. I don't know if it's going to get filled and we're going to go lower. All I know is where's this thing want to pull. I'll combine those heat map levels with my VWAP to tell me where to take profit and where to take entry. So Bookmap for me, and I'm sure this is different than for some of you, Bookmap for me is not an entry signal tool. I haven't done that yet. Bookmap for me is a trade management tool. I like to break trading education down into 3 buckets: entry signal, trade management, and position sizing. You got to master all 3 of those. Entry signal, there's so many different ways to enter the market, right? And arguably it's the least important of the 3. But for new traders, I recommend finding a specific entry signal to take. I can give you one today as we get into the VWAP stuff. I'll show you one of my VWAP trades, and you could try it yourself next week. Beyond that, though, trade management and position sizing are the next most important things. Trade management is directly impacted for me by Bookmap. Position sizing is not. So when I'm looking at Bookmap, I hope I'm painting this picture clearly for you guys. I'm really using it to give me levels to trade to, levels to trade from, levels to watch out for. I'm not seeing anything here saying, buy now, Austin, sell now, Austin. That's not how I like to use it. So the COB is going to show me the heaviest magnets. Now I'm going to draw on here with my little green cursor so you can see. Right now, as we're talking, on ES 63.15, the price 63.15 has 163, 170 contracts sitting on it. With us moving higher today, my brain says that's most likely our next target, 63.15. However, I can see orders down here at 63.09 all the way down to 63.03 that may want to get filled before we move and take the 15s. So what I'll do is I'll use VWAP here to tell me when we should be either entering the trade or waiting to take the trade. And I'll go into these examples in a second a little bit more clearly. But the colors that you're seeing on my heat map, I think are super important. I see a lot of people with a clouded book map. This will make it, I think, a little more clear for you. So if you look at the top, I am using the Trader Map Lite. I recommend that everyone does this. It filters out some of the noisy algorithms that I just think you don't need to see. I then turn off the volume nodes. I don't want the volume dots on my screen at all. I think that it's a very subjective part of Bookmap, and I think there's so many subjective parts, I want to slim them down. I'll just elaborate on that for a second. If I put the volume balls on, I can control the size of the volume balls. So then to me, it's like, well, how do I know if it's being accurate today at this size or at this size or at this size? So I just said scratch them. There's already enough information on here. And again, maybe for momentum traders, you want the volume balls. I don't. I'm not a momentum trader as much as I try to be sometimes, and I end up losing. So I'm a VWAP trader. So I'm using no volume nodes, and I've got the heat map colors here turned all the way up. That way, all I'm seeing, because look, if I go down, it's much noisier. All I want to see is the heaviest blocks possible. Then with the Trader Map Lite, all this locked in, I recommend you save it. The only thing I use on the bottom, I know some people are doing icebergs and stop hunts and all this stuff. The only thing I'm doing next is the Delta. And I'm not even a Delta expert, so I'm not relying on the Delta as much as I am the heat map. Now, back to our conversation about markets right now. You can see price action on a 1 minute chart is right here, top right. Look at these orders at 15, just sitting here still. And price starting to now push back into the 12s tells me that we may use these orders down at 63.03 and 63.06 as support for that move into the 15s. When I combine that with what I see on VWAP, the light blue line on your screen is the previous day New York VWAP. It's the second most important VWAP that I use. So right now, you've seen it be resistance. However, now it looks like we're breaking it, potentially using it for support for that move into the 15s. And right there, we can generate a trade idea using this previous day VWAP as support to trade into the orders that we see on Bookmap at 63.15. But like I said at the beginning, what do we do with 63.15? In this market environment, I scalp it to 63.15. The market's very rangy right now, so I scalp it to 15. I don't anticipate it to break through and run. What I can do then, though, is set myself up for the next trade. If 15 breaks very easily, we'll look for longs continuing into the 20 or the 25. Right now, when I talk about this market environment, Bookmap helps a lot because scalpers are doing very well. The people trying to get these directional moves in the futures market right now are just struggling because things have been very sideways. We'll sell off at the open and bounce by the end of the day. And that's just a death trap for a lot of day traders. However, if you switch your mindset and embrace more of a short-term scalping mindset, you'll find a lot of success, especially using VWAP. So my trade today, we'll get into in a second, was off of the New York VWAP, which is the most important VWAP I use every day. This is, again, ES on a 1 minute chart. You can see that dark blue line that's anchored right here to 9:30 New York market open Eastern time every single day. This morning on stream, when we broke that New York VWAP here, we looked for longs and all the guys on our stream ended up doing really well. That trade actually developed into another retest of that VWAP here at 11:30 a.m. And that was the trade that I was in, trading from this New York VWAP into yesterday's New York VWAP. Now check this out. When we're looking at this trade, let's drag this over here. When we look at this, oops, like this, that's about 11:30 in the morning. Just call it 11:30. At 11:30, if we take a look at Bookmap, we're going to zoom out and scroll back and watch. We're going to go from now 63.11 to 63.15. You can see it. And you can even see now, look, these orders came on at 12 o'clock. They started building back here. So they knew since 12 o'clock for the last 2.5 hours that they want 63.15. But what's going on underneath? Nothing. Not as much. On, off, right? Nothing to pull us lower. The magnets were up here and they got heavier and heavier. And that's why we're headed higher, most likely. So that's how you can see how I'm reading it, right? So if we go back to 11:30, where that second move long was that we took, watch what you see. It's very important. Here's 11:15. We had orders below us at 62.91. See that red block here? That fills right at 11:15 in the morning. These are Eastern Standard Times. I'm in Pennsylvania. Almost said Florida. I moved. I'm not in Florida anymore. So once those orders at 91 are filled and held, meaning we don't sustain the move lower, they don't add a lot of orders underneath to fill. They actually added them and took them away. That's then when we start to say this is support and we're looking for a move higher because it did not fill and suck lower. So then come back to VWAP. At that same moment, 11:20, 11:25, 11:30, we're holding New York VWAP after being above it all morning. So since we've been buyers in control, here's our retest. This is what we call a textbook trade. Break and retest out of the opening range high, comes back to New York VWAP. Buyers sustain, buyers hold that. They don't break and move lower, making lower lows and lower highs under the VWAP. So we're looking for the next leg back out with a target, in this case, at previous day VWAP. The price of that previous day VWAP is 63.09. At the time that we took the entry here at 11:30, there's 11:30, what did we have above? Targets at 63.09 and 63.10 and 63.11. Look at how that thickened up right before it filled. And then you can see we reject away, never filling the 11s. So what did I say? I'm not anticipating it to break through. I'm not anticipating it to resist. I'm reading and reacting. Once we get pulled to that level and we're not getting any orders down here to pull us lower, that's when I'm starting to manage the trade, trailing the stop, taking profits, and letting the market do what it may. If it continues, I trail, I take profits, I make money. If it turns as it does, which the market will do often, I get stopped in profit and we move on to the next trade. If there's questions in the chat about that trade, throw them in there for me. So looking left at previous price, those are orders still resting. Absolutely, Eric. So if they haven't filled, you could argue that they are still resting. Now, where are we here? Are we at 15 yet? No, we're close. So to the 15s, you can see here, Eric, that's at about 1:50 p.m. The orders at 12 came on, they got thicker, and then they just filled. The orders at 15 here, they've been on the book. It's about 175 contracts right now. So again, it's like these orders to me right now, everybody, are like some type of trader, algo, whatever it may be, that wants to get filled on a dip. But these, because the COB is heavier, there's 170 there. There's no 170s here. These are where the strongest magnet is. So I'm not just using the colors. That's another good point. I'm using the numbers in the COB. 176 is the biggest block that I can see. I have 155, 111, 122, but no 170 down there. And then above my 170 here, look what we have. The same size we have below, 115, 116, 112. So that tells me that 63.15 is the level that wants to fill the most. And then above 63.25, you can see it started here, thickened up, came off a little bit, and now is really standing out as, okay, if we take these 15s, 25 is probably the next target for me. That's the way that I would be reading that. Lauren said, why are you not using the bubbles? The reason is because I'm not a momentum trader. They're still there if you want to have them, but I'm not a momentum trader, so it's not something I want to distract myself with. It's very subjective. So when they get filled, what does it look like on Bookmap? The colors just go away? Exactly. The colors will disappear because the orders are filling. And we can kind of zoom in here as we get into this new 15-minute bar and take a look. So notice how I'm combining the Bookmap with the VWAP, right? So even here, if we go back to 12 o'clock today, where we resist the New York VWAP for another bounce back into the previous day VWAP, that's a great long opportunity for me. As a reactionary VWAP trader, buyers been in control all morning. I'm buying bounces off that New York VWAP, trading either into a Bookmap level or into this previous day New York VWAP. So let's take a look at Bookmap at 12:15. We can just scroll this back a little bit. Live chat, if we hit 63.15, tell me. Let's go back to 12:15. It's a great example here. So here's 12 o'clock. Here's 12:15, the white dotted lines. Here's 12:30. What comes on the book right there before 12 o'clock? 63.05. At the entry that we were just looking at here, it's 62.98 right here. If you were long, 62.98. So we're looking 62.98 trading up into 63.05. So what that trade would look like is something like this. You'd be long in here at 98 or 99, trading long into 63.05, which is right here, right there. And notice between this trade, which your entry is at 12:15, your profit's probably getting hit around 1 o'clock. When you're looking at that trade, look at how it stays dark here, other than there's one block, right? 62.90 is there for sure, but it's just dark. Look at all the action going on here in that 15-minute window from 12:15 to 12:30. See all that action thickening up? That tells me that those fives want to fill instead of it happening down here. Does that make sense, Eric? Have you seen the situation where price wasn't going in the direction of yesterday's VWAP? If so, what is your target? Okay, so you're saying yeah, absolutely. So let's say we did not have yesterday's VWAP above us to trade into. What we would do is we would use Bookmap or use previous day high or something like that, because there's definitely going to be situations like here, 2 days ago. This is VWAP from Tuesday, right? The light blue line is VWAP on, this is VWAP on Wednesday. Sorry. There you go. So let me click this off. Wednesday's VWAP is in green. So then Thursday's VWAP is in light blue and they're in conjunction. And then you can see what type of move we get, right? So on a day like yesterday, Bookmap comes in extremely handy because you're just drifting. You're not getting any pullback. So you're going to look for structure, buy dips, trading in the direction of VWAP, and then using Bookmap above as targets. And the only time you, in my opinion, that you wouldn't want to do that starts to really heat up down here. You wouldn't want to be long here if it's adding orders down here. Does that make sense? New names are lame. Yeah. Does that make sense? Do we go to 15 yet? No, 63.11 still. But we're thickening up here. You can see orders just came on the book at 14, orders just coming on the book at 18 and 19. So that looks pretty strong. Let's take a look here. So that's the way that I like to play with Bookmap, lining up with key levels on VWAP. When you get those, another thing I like to do is because I'm trading US indices, I'll use this Mag 7 index and I'll really try to trade with the current VWAP direction today. Meaning like today, I wouldn't have been short at all. You'd be long only. You see here, we're above that blue VWAP on the Mag 7. We know that that's a huge percentage of the US indices in weight. So if they're bullish, I'm going to want to be buying or flat on the indices. I hope that makes sense. Let's see if there's other questions. Time frame. I don't really think matters as much for Bookmap, but as a trader myself, a scalper, I'm using the 2-minute and the 1-minute time frame. That's all. And what I like to do as I trade everybody, and we can look at this together here. I like to trade like this, where I have Bookmap and TradingView open. And then, like I said, I trade with a prop firm called Top One Futures. I have that open right here. This is their platform called Project X. And what they allow me to do is copy trade up to 9 accounts. So right now I've got 5 accounts. You can see I made $91 on each account today. So that's a nice $500 day off a very quick scalp. Scalping is working really well in this environment. But let's see together, everybody, if we can fill these 63.15s. On the downside, 63.08 has a decent little bit, 125 contracts sitting here, right? So I can see that, I can see that, and I can see 63.04. So that's what I'm looking at right now. Above, you got 19, 20, and then 25, as I said already. Let's see what we'll do. Can you explain any tips for using Bookmap to know where to place your stop loss? Oh, great question, Billy. Yes, absolutely. So let's just use this as an example. I think the current situation is perfect for an example. If we had to be in a trade, I'd be long because we're above previous day VWAP and today's New York VWAP. I don't trade that as a reversion. So where do we put the stop? Well, structure-wise, you've got a higher low, a higher low, a higher low. But we know higher lows can get swept and the idea can still be valid. I don't really like to have stops that are bigger than my opening range. So opening range is the first 15 minutes of trading. Today on ES, it's 19 points. So when there's a 19-point opening range, I usually will not have a stop bigger than 19 points. I usually will operate around a 10-point stop, 12-point stop on ES. Unless we're very tight, I'll go a little tighter. If we're very volatile, I'll open the stop up in distance of what I'm looking for. Meaning, if it doesn't fit that, but there's a trade set up, I just won't take the trade. If I had to adjust my stop loss on it, I wouldn't take the trade. So then, to your question, if we're looking like here, as we retest this previous day VWAP, this could be a great place for a higher low. I'm looking at Bookmap saying, okay, there's orders at 03 and there's orders at 07. 03 is right here. 07 is right here. I want to be in this trade if it comes to 07, because that can happen easily. I don't really want to be in this trade if it comes all the way to 03. So what I would do is actually put my stops a little bit above those orders at 03 or just right at them exactly right there. And that would be the way. Because then I'm saying if these orders on Bookmap want to fill, I don't want to be long up here anymore. If they want to fill at 03, let's go back to 6,300. That's near New York VWAP. I'll buy it again down there if I get a signal. So that's a really good example, Billy. I hope that helps. Mohammed said, any statistics about the winning rates? Mohammed, that's a great question if you're a new trader. Any trader with experience knows that win rate really doesn't matter. It matters to the extent that you have a system that you're following identically to the T every single day. I don't. I have a systematic basis, but I apply scalping and discretion on top of my system every day. I've got guys that I've worked with that have a 20% win rate and still make more money than the guys that have an 80% win rate. If you think win rate's going to make you profitable, it's a very uninformed approach, because you can have an 80% win rate and then one big loss gives away all of the wins you had all month. So win rate is very misleading. I'll show you guys. I track all of my trades. This is not a sponsor or anything. This is it's a great software. I do work with them, so I am biased. But I track all of my accounts and all of my trades here in TradeZella. So you can monitor all types of prop accounts. You can see here I've got a ton of different prop accounts that I've traded over the last 2 years. And from here, I can come in and see my win rate, my stats, all of that, right? So if you look at, for me, and this is over the last, who knows, this goes back to, I think, September of 23 when I started using this. So my win rate is 65% since September of 23. Profit factor 1.6. My longest green streak is 16 days. My longest red streak is 3. Longest green trade streak is 46. Longest red streak is 36. So you'll run hot, you'll run cold. The win rate doesn't matter. Profit factor matters much more, I think. And more importantly, if you're trying to take payouts from a prop firm, you've got to have more green days than red days. I try to keep it green more than red. I'll still have losing days, but you want to keep it more green than red. So win rate is just, I think, misleading. Not that we're having a win rate versus risk reward webinar right now, but when does VWAP for the current day matter after the first hour? Okay, good question, Josh. I'm a Brian Shannon guy. So Brian Shannon, and then here we have another question. Do you use any VWAP anchoring like Brian? Yes, absolutely. I can go over some anchoring with you in a second. VWAP for the current day from 9:30 is the most important. Yesterday's 9:30 VWAP is the next most important. What you can do at the bottom of the screen is come into the electronic trading hours and you'll get another VWAP, the overnight VWAP. That anchors at the 6 p.m. changeover every day. The only time that VWAP matters is if I'm trading pre-market or if we have a large volume event overnight, then I will use it. Brian actually said it just like that in the most recent podcast that we did. So I have an indicator that I've built. It's called ASFX Automatic VWAPs. If you go to luxalgo.com/ASFX, you can get the indicator. I don't make any money on that, but it automates current day New York, previous day New York, all of them. High of day, low of day, all of that. So like, let's say we want to put a high of day automatic VWAP on, start of month, all of that. That can be anchored for you. So like a high of day is going to come on right up here and it'll show us, if we go back to regular trading hours, it'll show us buyers are really stepping in when we can break that purple VWAP right there. And on Bookmap here, everybody, just to point it out, you can see some orders thickening up at 12 here. So that's worth noting. So we'll see how this trade idea plays out. Good questions. Yes, Mohammed, absolutely, buddy. So on the VWAP pinch and the VWAP handoff, I'm not really worried about the pinch because I'm not swing trading. I think the pinch matters a lot more in a swing trade. I am only doing the handoff when we extend away from New York VWAP tremendously. Like yesterday. This is yesterday's price action. Again, on a 1 minute, we can even go to a 2-minute chart just to make it fit better. So use this light blue VWAP as if it was today's New York VWAP. What you would do probably at some point in here, you'd be thinking, okay, this might not pull back. So what do we do? Just take a VWAP indicator and put one on the last time it touched the New York VWAP, that one that it extended away from, throw it on there. Now it gives you a little support here to buy off of, right? You could then throw another handoff like this as it extends off this one, handoff from here. And then that can give you another level to look for scalps in the afternoon here. Does that help with the handoff question? Shark Baolu. I'm not really good at pinch, so I don't want to speak on the pinch too much. It's not something that I do. So let's see. What do you guys think? Live chat. Do you think we go fill these orders at 63.15 and 63.12? Or do you think we're going back to 63.03, 6300? That'd be all the way back to New York VWAP. What time of day is it? It's 3 o'clock, last hour of the day. Okay. This area has definitely been resistance today. 63.10, 63.12. Definitely has had a hard time getting above it. No doubt about that. Yeah, absolutely. Do you turn from bullish to bear, essentially reverse your trade? So that's a good question, right? Like, let's just for example, today, you were short here for the first couple of minutes at the open. And then once we took the VWAP strong, you switched to buys. I don't really like to do that, right? What I like to do is wait for the first 15 minutes to trade. That sets the opening range. Then I know, okay, once we've broken out the top, I'm looking for the retest. What am I doing today? I'm looking for the retest back into a target, which is the previous day VWAP. It's a beautiful setup today. That's exactly the trade I like to see. Sometimes it'll pull back and do this. I won't get a long signal here because it won't turn. It'll just smoke the VWAP. And then I'll retest and I'll short this underneath the VWAP. So I think you avoid a lot of the switching of the bias intraday just by not trading in the first few minutes. Give yourself the first at least 15 minutes to create the opening range and then combine the opening range with your Bookmap levels. You'll see it's amazing the confidence that you have when you're trading on a VWAP into a VWAP, and you also have two Bookmap levels to trade off of and trade into. It's a great feeling. Does the Lux indicator mark out key ranges as well? Yeah. It marks out initial balance if you want and opening range. As you can see here, I only have it doing the New York session opening range, but you can change the times. We made it customizable, so you can change the times and do whatever you want. Like if you want initial balance on, you do this, and then it shows you the whole initial balance here. right? Initial balance is the first 60 minutes of the day, 9:30 to 10:30. Billy, good questions, dude. Thanks for asking. Thanks for engaging. Who else? What other questions can I answer? We're going to watch to see. End of day is ideally on a Friday, especially going to be very low volume. We'll see if MOC comes in about the last 5-10 minutes of the day, see if that has any juice for us. But remember, my biggest thing with Bookmap is it's showing you levels. The heat map is showing you levels. You don't know if we're going to go fill the 15s. Nothing's 100% of the time. You don't know if we're going to go fill the 03s, but you know where you should have a stop. You know where you can have a target. Some people are looking at this trade and they're saying, Austin, we rejected this. We rejected this. We rejected this. Let's sell it here into the 3s, right? And use the 15s as our stop loss. Because if it takes the 15s, they're so heavy, it's going to fill. So that's where, again, Bookmap is not telling you the entry. It's telling you the levels that the magnet will pull to. You have to have the discretion and the discernment to say, okay, I'm going to short this or I'm going to buy this. Does that make sense? Give me some yeses in the chat if you're following what I'm saying. And then that comes back to VWAP. I like to use the VWAP for the entry, right? Yeah, good. So like, again, what we were saying on this long idea was buying it off of that previous day VWAP. And the stop, I think we said was 03, like this, underneath the orders at 3, so to speak. Call it 0275, right? So if that 3 fills, good. Go to 6,300. We're out. Trade idea is invalid. But let's see. This is the fun stuff. Now we get to 3 o'clock. You get into power hour on a Friday. You never know what big players are going to try to come in and do something, you know? It does make sense. Thanks for explaining things so well. Yeah, you're welcome. Absolutely. Can someone take the name of the VWAP Austin is using? Yeah, I can actually put the link in there for you, Josh. Keep the questions coming. So like I said, I stream every day. If you guys want to see me trade with VWAP, see me trade with Bookmap, I'm happy to help you guys every day. The streaming is on ASFX TV. It's a platform that we created. So we're not on YouTube. We don't stream for free. We don't do anything like that. I'd like the larger order with the stronger magnet, but maybe not. Exactly, Billy. And that is it, bro. That is the probabilities of trading. The probabilities would say the stronger magnet was it was 170 contracts. It's now 150. Now we also have 150 at 6303, you know? So at the time of when we were looking at this, the probabilities were this was the heavier magnet and that would pull. Now, of course, that can shift mid-trade. That can shift in a second, right? Would you be worried that 03 would be filled with its larger limit setting there once the 03 is filled, it could push up because you said it could use 03 as a stop loss? Yeah, you might have situations like that, but that's where you have to look at it and say like, okay, well, where do you want it? You want to go lower? Now we're risking 10 instead of 6. If you're comfortable with that, you could put it down. Like there's no orders down under 6,300. So you could make an argument then, Billy, put the stop loss at 95. There's nothing down there. Even if it comes all the way back to fill the 03s and the 6,300, maybe it'll still bounce. So put the stop down there where there's nothing, right? Depends how aggressive you want to be. I liked it at 02, 03, somewhere around there. Because then that would be taking out this previous higher low. If this is really going to work this time of day, I don't want it to be making lower lows right now. You know what I'm saying? And I'll put a link here for our streaming stuff as well, in case you guys want to check that out. For the streaming, we do charge a monthly fee, but if you guys want it, because we're Bookmap friends, use the code July4. Like there's a Bookmap sale going on as well for July 4th. Use my code July4, and that'll get you a free month with me. It's usually $100, but if you want to come hang out for a month, we do Bookmap every day. And then I've been pushing my audience all week to go buy Bookmap with this deal. So if you're here and you haven't bought Bookmap, please buy it. They don't do any deals like this. I've been working with Bruce. Oh, geez, Bruce. When was our last podcast? Like a year or something, a year and a half. So it's like I've been pushing people to Bookmap for a while. Haven't had this big of a discount. Nice, nice. And the VWAP indicator just streamlines everything. It just makes it faster for you, you know? Yeah, let me throw one more plug in here because we're plugging right now, everybody. We're plugging. I actually hosted a seminar, as I said earlier. We hosted the seminar in Dallas first this year, and then it was so popular, we did a bigger one in Tampa. On my YouTube channel, I'm going to give you guys two quick plugs. So here's the first one. This is the streaming. Code for the free month is July 4. And then I want to give you guys some sauce here. So check this out. I have an entire playlist from the seminar, and then I've grouped that playlist from the seminar into Bookmap tutorials. Some of you may know Real Deal Zach Boyajian. He and I did a whole session on Bookmap. I'll show it to you here. Did a whole session on Bookmap at the seminar. Bookmap was one of the sponsors that we did, put some suits on, and we did the whole thing. But I've also got some other videos here that show me interviewing Scott. Look, here's me and big old Bruce. Bruce, we're crushing it, dude. 22K views in 8 months. So it hasn't even been that long, Bruce. I thought it was a year and a half. It's only been 8 months since this first podcast. So we're probably due for another one. So you guys got to come check this playlist out. I got Scott in here as well. I'll copy and paste this for you guys in. So you can check that out. Billy, that is not a question I can answer. So you should ask support for that. I want to try Global Plus for icebergs. Do you ever use icebergs? I don't, but I've got two guys in my mentorship group. Here we go. There's the threes. See, threes are getting filled right there. I've got a couple of guys in the mentorship group that are trading Scott's strategy, Pulsini strategy, and they're using the icebergs. Now let's see, Billy. Does the threes hold? Should we have put the stop all the way down here in the nothingness where there's nothing? But now look at how dark it's getting up here too. This is when it gets like this, everybody, since we're doing some live trading ideas here. I think this gives me the news feeling. I go to Financial Juice here. This is Financial Juice. I have this open on another screen, and I'm looking at that to see, okay, we're moving a little fast. Bookmap's getting a little dark. What's going on? Something's got to be coming through here. Fed, Goolsby. If we get a few more months of excellent inflation reports, that would persuade me we're still on the golden path. That seems pretty bullish. So maybe they're just dipping to fill these orders at 6,300 and we're going to hold. Let's see. I think it's the end of day sell-off. Maybe. I want to wait until the anxiety dies down before they're comfortable that the U.S. is back on track for a soft landing. Okay, so that's not that bullish, maybe. Fed presidents talking back and forth. You know what I'm saying? Is it too soon to consider a retest? Great question. So, no one's asked me like, Austin, why didn't you take this trade? Why are we just talking an idea? At this point in the day, this is extended off the VWAP. I would be waiting for this pullback. This is actually where I'd like to be long. If we can stop, I call it the turn. So I look at a 1 minute chart. I want to see it hit the VWAP with a body, even come through it. And then as it comes back through is when I'll look for the trade. But today, and this is one of the things that I think makes me a pretty good trader, I'm up on the day. These accounts so far, I've been doing really well on them. I just started it yesterday. So I'm green here. Everything looks good. One of the cool things about this software with Top One Futures, you can lock yourself out so you don't give back your gains for the day. See this here? So you can literally prevent yourself from over trading. It's an awesome feature of the platform. You can also have risk settings in here, personal daily profit target, personal daily loss limit that just locks you out if you lose a certain amount and prevents you from blowing the whole account. With these accounts, it's actually pretty cool. So you can copy trade up to 9 of them. I'm copy trading 5 of them. Let's see if we'll turn here for a little long idea. With the copy trading, you only have to make $3,000 on the 50K, and then you can take out $2,500 from each account. So you do the math. Your code is July 4. Yes, for the streaming. Yep, that'll get you a free month with us all. Come in. So get the streams, get the Bookmap, come trade with us, come hang out. We'll take good care of you. End of day Bookmap is fun to read. Fed's Goolsby. See, now this is why I like Financial Juice. You get the red thing here. It'll tell us exactly. If we're going into an environment where prices start rising again, I'll be nervous. Okay. That's maybe why the market's moving lower. Now, what do we see below? With my Bookmap settings, 62.90. That's down here. New tariff threats could delay rate cuts, he said. Okay. Now that we're under VWAP, getting tougher and tougher to consider a long. You start to not think about it as much here. You start to wait for it to turn back above. Yes. Any other questions? Keep them coming, everybody. I'm feeding everybody everything you need. I got you. If you're looking for the Lux Algo thing, they're also running a sale. So you just go to luxalgo.com, luxalgo.com/ASFX, and that'll get you set up. Automatic VWAPs, no problem. Now maybe we turn a little bit. This gets a little fun. I like the 90. So now to the stop loss question, right? That's clearly the level of where the stop would be. You'd want to stop right under the 90s here. Stop at like 89 as this starts to turn. I actually like this trade a lot. If this one will hold, see how it'll close. Because I'll tell you what I consider it. I do so many markups. I know what I'm looking for. That's a turn. It stopped. It's turned. I don't know if we're going to shoot higher or lower, but I know I would not have a stop anywhere in here because that's dark. That means we can move quickly to 90, but I don't know where the higher low is. What if it has to do this and hold the 90s, right? So that's why I look at Bookmap. Stop goes under the level, not above it. And then target above right now, 05, 63.05, 63.15 has a little bit of orders on it. They're very faint. See if this goes. This is a much more Austin Silver trade for sure. Especially if you've been on stream with me, you know this is an Austin Silver. And the thesis behind it is who's been in control since market open. Sellers had it for a few minutes, but buyers took it at 9:45 and never gave it back. Buyers have had control all day. So what do you want to do when buyers have control? Buy New York VWAP bounces when we turn. And we've done it today multiple times, right? So if you wait for the turn, you bought it here, you bought it here, you bought it here, or in here, right? And then now here this afternoon, you bought the turn here. That's my favorite trade. On our streaming platform, on ASFX TV, this is where we stream. This course, Futures 101, I'll put the link for this, is totally free. And I teach the VWAP bounce trade in there. I give a lot away for free. Everything's very, I mean, even $100 a month, I think is super affordable compared to other streamers. You know what I'm saying? A lot of business up here now, 6306. That's right here. This VWAP it's running into right now is the high of day VWAP. Once we take high of day VWAP, that's a strong sign, Brian Shannon says, that buyers are stepping back in. So under all, so your indicator, you have all VWAPs we see on your chart right now with the proper settings automatically. Oh yeah, buddy, you just got to change the colors if you want. Yep. And you come on stream with me, Billy. I'll help you out as much as you need. I really use start of day, previous day, and start of New York session. Those are the three. Sometimes I use this one that we're looking at, high of day. And then if you want to do higher time frame stuff, they're right there. But here's my settings exactly as is. You can screenshot this if you want. Yeah, see, that was a nice turn. So you don't buy the dip. You wait for the turn and you get a good stop with that 62.90 right there. 63.10 lighten up a little bit. We saw the business at 06. It's starting to fill that business at 06 here. High day VWAP take. So we got buyers in here now, everybody. 63.15 is hot. See it? Let's see if it's got it. That's right up here. See how it handles the sixes first too, right here. What other questions? What other questions? $155 contracts right there. Nope, doesn't want them yet. Delta's negative 1,700 right now for me. Delta's not a strong indicator that I rely on, though. How many of you guys trade in the afternoons usually? Out of everybody here on the Bookmap webinar, how many of you guys trade afternoons? I try to trade in the first 2 hours of the day and be done. That's how I was today. Do you always trade on the 1 minute? Yeah, pretty much, Nate. With the markets being so liquid and you being able to get so much size on it, it fits my personality. I like to trade pre-market some days if I'm setting up nicely. Otherwise, I'll really just trade from 9:30 to 11 most days. By 11 o'clock, I've either won my trade, lost my trade, or I haven't found anything and I'm tired. That's usually where I'm at. I've been trading for a while too. So I know through experience, the more that I trade, it doesn't mean I make more money. You know what I'm saying? The more I trade, the more risk I'm putting into the market and the more likely at some point I'll take losses. Let's see. 06 is still hot. You wanted 06? We could sit here all day and look at this Bookmap, man. That's the scary thing. You know? You do that and you start getting gray hair like me. Don't you find the Bookmap light cleaner? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, let's look at what the regular Bookmap looks like. It doesn't look that bad, actually. Doesn't look that bad. Some days it looks awful. So what do we expect with a level that is hot? That it's a heavier magnet to pull to. Not always, but if you operate under that probabilities, majority of the time it does. Yeah, and the dark spots here tell me that if we get down into this area, or we get down into this area, it can go quickly through there. That's what the darkness means. Not a lot of orders, so it'll go quickly. In my first strat, I would have taken the short at 06 if I was trading. Yeah, here at 06 on the retest. Let's see. Austin, do you still trade Forex or only futures and ES? Yeah, only futures. The futures prop firm thing has been a huge change for the industry, I think, and for my customers and my followers. A lot of my followers don't have $20, $30, $40,000 to put in a brokerage account. But if they copy trade and they do well, I have guys that are literally doing 6 figures a day across 50 accounts. If you come on stream, you'll meet them. Come to the live chat in our stream every day. You'll see their P&L. There's 86K days, 96K days, 113,000 is the biggest day we've had on stream so far from one guy. So I think the copy trading aspect of the prop firms makes it warranted to trade futures and trade with a prop rather than trade your own money for most people. But at some point, trading your own money definitely makes more sense. How do they have 50 accounts? Yeah, multiple prop firms, and there's a software called Replicanto, and you can copy trade across multiple prop firms. Watch 06, 5306. You see it, right? It's dark red. Everybody sees it. You see it on the COB. It's 153. There's no 150s anywhere else. There's a 109 up there. That's it. There's barely 100 contract. Here we go. It just got a little thinner down here. There's not even 100 here anymore. Also, look at what happens. Right as we take that high a day VWAP, like I said, buyer step in. Now we'll go take this 06 probably. Probably. Never certain. Probably. But you could see like they thinned it out down here right as the high a day VWAP got taken. All said, I don't see an option to add the July 4th. Okay, I'll show you really quick while we watch this thing fill. So if you're new, keep this right here. I'll log out to show you. All you got to do, come to sign in, or I guess you're going to see a different screen. You're going to see a join screen. You're going to do the monthly. Put your payment info in here. Put your name and stuff in here. I'm not a robot. Oh my gosh. I hate this thing. It's going to be right here underneath. When you go to put your payment details in, see it says enter coupon code, buddy. Enter coupon July 4. Bang. Okay. There it goes. 06 fills. See? Nice and hot. Now let's see if we got 15. A little bit of business at 10 too. Right here, previous day VWAP. If I was in this trade, I'd be out of it there at 10. I wouldn't be going for 15 at this point of the day, personally. But it could go. So you see, like, and this is even more, I don't trade when we're far from the VWAP. I like getting off the VWAP like this when we've had one trend all day. Bruce, you got any questions for me? You got anything you want to throw at me? What shoe size am I? Definitely. I'm trying. But Bookmap's all the foundation of it too. You know, and like I said, I'm for everybody listening, I'm not an entry guy on Bookmap. I know some of the guys that come do these webinars enter off what they see on Bookmap. That hasn't been where I've taken this. I've taken it as a levels, as magnets, as guidance. You know, I still have to pick the position size. I still got to pick the entry. But then when I'm in the trade, I line my key VWAPs, the 3 of them that I like to use with these key levels, and it works out really nice for the most part. Yep. %. Yeah, so maybe we go to 15 to finish the day, guys. We'll see. We'll see. Mohammed, yep, I agree. Yep, Josh, every day we're streaming every morning. I got a couple of business partners that also stream with me and do Bookmap and everything. So, yeah, it's become, you know, Rips. Maybe some of you guys know selling Rips. Rips really put me on to Bookmap. Probably again, I'm probably off in my timing, but like a year ago, I interviewed him and he said to me, the best way to learn Bookmap is not a webinar or a course. He said, download it, watch it, and see how your trades that you think your strategy is so profitable, see how it overlays with Bookmap. See your winners over Bookmap, see your losers over Bookmap, and you'll start to see patterns. I recommend everybody do that. That's the number one thing. That's why this 4th of July sale is such 40% off is ridiculous. To get that and lock yourself in to be able to commit to this, it's a great tool. I could be wrong in this, but I personally have seen in our mentorship, Bookmap be an enhancer, right? If you understand the VWAP, great. Add Bookmap onto it. We're like playing with fire now. You know what I'm saying? So do you need it? I don't think so. I was doing fine without Bookmap. Does it make my life a lot easier now? Yes. So I think it's a great enhancement, especially if you're a basic systematic approach. Like you guys see, most of my trading is very discretionary, but it's based in the VWAP and trading with trend and not trading reversions as much and stuff like that. So it still has a systematic foundation. Austin just made $1,000 on that trade. Awesome. Well, then I'll see you on stream on Monday. Yeah, so bookmap.com, everybody. Bookmap.com. If you have questions, bookmap.com has the discount, has everything listed. And play around with it, man. There's so much that you can get. Geez, like add-ons and configurations and stops, hunts, and icebergs. Like it can get crazy. So, okay. Bruce, what else can I do for you? I don't want to sit here and just chew everybody's ear off. I had a guy on today that just told me about Sang Lucci, this options guy came on today, and we had a good amount of people on stream, and he said to me he had this crazy trade when FTX went under, and he almost got like it was like a $50,000 trade that he flipped to 1.2 million. And when they liquidated him out of FTX, they still spotted his price at like 200K. And he thought he was going to get the 200K out of it, but he ended up not getting the 200. So it was a crazy story to see some of these people, like talk to him and see how some of these crypto guys have flipped just crazy amounts of money, you know. But we had him on stream to talk about how options traders overlays with futures trading and how some of these options levels really drive market behavior because the 0DTE options have just become such a big player in markets, you know. Yeah. For anybody looking at this long trade right here, 63.10, this is where like Bookmap is great, but I like VWAP a little bit more. So like seeing that VWAP right there, I'd be out of this trade here, everybody. Yes, there's orders at 15, but I'd be trailing aggressively at this point because it definitely can reject off this VWAP as it has a lot today. Look at how many times we've hit that VWAP and come down, come down, come down. So I don't know if you forecast this to run through. You trail aggressively, especially at the end of the day, but make sure you get some profits off of it. And again, this trade, VWAP bounce, very basic VWAP bounce. You sprinkle in Bookmap to tell you where to put your stop loss, a little bit of market structure to put your stop loss. You're going to win, 60%. That's what I tell everybody. And if you win 65 or 70%, great. But that's usually what we've seen people do with this. So don't get too caught up in the win rate because you're still going to lose, right? There's nothing in trading that's guaranteed. But you're trading a very simple strategy here. So at least it's repeatable. I like simple because I can keep doing it. If it's too complicated, I can't keep doing it. And I think Scott Redler was one of my mentors early. He works at T3 still. Scott always said, if you do this complicated strategy and this complicated routine, then you're never going to be able to keep doing it every day. You're going to eventually screw it up. You're a human. Do you have something for an entry that when you see, you feel instantly confident for it to be a winning trade? No. Unfortunately, no, Billy. If that was the way, I'd be a gajillionaire by now. It's always just playing with VWAP, but I've had great confidence in VWAP trades like this. We've been above VWAP all day. We're super bullish, blah, 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 and I still lose because the market, whatever happens, Trump tweeted something, whatever it may be. So I guess I kind of have, my years of experience has made me numb to that idea of like, oh, I'm so confident in this one, size it up. No, like that's just not the way that I operate. You know, some guys do. I'm not saying that that's wrong. For me, that is not it. Every day I come in and I play the VWAP. I don't care where the market goes. If we're above VWAP, I'm looking for longs. If we're below VWAP, I'm looking for shorts. When I don't do that, I know I lose money. When I fight the VWAP, like if we're above it all day and I keep trying to sell it, so I blow accounts. I lose money. But when I just trade with VWAP and I add the Bookmap levels on to tell me my targets and my stops, I do well. Do I crush it and make do I catch the whole move every day? No, most days not. Do I use fair value gaps? Absolutely not. Of all the ways to trade and scalp, what made you decide to hone in on VWAP? Brian Shannon's book, Brian Shannon's pedigree, Brian Shannon's career. He explained to me, and he explains in the book how biggest traders, biggest institutions all use VWAP. It's an unbiased EMA is what I call it. It's an exponential moving average, which is what I started using, but it's if we're above, buyers are in control. If we're below, sellers are in control. It's just better than a moving average because it's taking in volume, not just price. It's volume weighted average price. You see how it's rejecting this previous day VWAP? We may not go do the business at 15. Yeah, good questions. Nice. Josh, awesome. I'll see you guys on Monday. Yeah, so we start stream 5 minutes before the open every day. We definitely talk some shit sometimes. It happens, talk sports. Not really politics, but sports sometimes. We have some fun. We'll talk golf, we'll talk whatever, tennis, whatever's going on. But the main thing is we'll use Bookmap to identify levels. And as we operate through the different ranges each day, we'll call out those levels. Because that's the thing. It's like everybody wants to be that trader on Instagram or Twitter that draws the arrows and gets his trade perfectly right every time. It's a fantasy. Nobody knows where these markets are going every day. Nobody. And if they tell you they do, they're absolutely lying. So as a trader, as the bottom of the barrel, in my opinion, we're retail traders, you read and react. You don't forecast. Okay? As bottom of the barrel retail traders, you have the lowest level of information. We're blessed that we get Bookmap. You are supposed to read and react, not forecast. Stop trying to guess what it's going to do. What did it do? And based on what it did, what are the probabilities of what comes next? Today, we've been above New York VWAP all day. So the probabilities are that if we retest it, we're going to get a bounce. We retest it, we're going to get a bounce. We retest it, we're going to get a bounce. Not every time, but the probabilities are it will, right? Like today, there's 4 of them in one day. Sometimes you'll get 2 or 3 correct in one day, and you'll have a loser or 2. But that's trading. That's keeping probabilities at the focus, not forecasting at the focus. Okay. So if you're trailing here, watch 15. We took out that previous day VWAP a little bit there. Let's see if we can go higher. Oh, Bruce, I'll always give you time, buddy. Come on. Oh, always. Always. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I got a coaching call at 3:30, so I will leave in 5 minutes. So get them in, everybody. Really good. I love a pivot high low. Brian, appreciate. I would recommend to everybody, like if you're loving VWAP, I'm not the Godfather. Brian is. You got to read Brian's book, Maximizing Trading Gains with Anchored VWAP. Just go read it. You add that with VWAP, you're gonna be with Bookmap, and you're gonna be like, oh my god, I was overcomplicating my trading for so long. The stops and the icebergs, they're great. They can definitely enhance, I'm sure, what I'm doing. But I'm telling you, you don't have to go even that deep. It's just my opinion. I'm doing fine like this. I'm a simple guy. I dropped out of college. I don't have some crazy mathematics degree, but I don't make this more complicated than it needs to be. And I think that's why I do consistently well. A lot of people want to overcomplicate their trading, especially as they start doing well. They think they need to keep doing more. I do the opposite. I only tweak when it's necessary. When the market starts to tell me it's not working, then we adjust. But it's really hard to see that with Bookmap. The times when I lose money, I'm usually fighting VWAP or not listening to Bookmap. If I listen to VWAP and Bookmap, I usually do okay. But even then, like I said, I'll have setups. I'll be like, oh, this is perfect. And I get smoked, man. And that's why you got to have proper position size. Remember I said the 3 buckets of trading: entry signal, position size, and trade management. Rob Rother. Yeah, I've heard of that name. All right, Steven, I will. Maybe you introduce me. No discount on the VWAP all. I don't think so. He's a Bookmap streamer. Yeah, that's where I've seen him for sure. What was the book again? It's Maximizing Trading Gains with Anchored VWAP. It's on Amazon. It's not cheap. I think it's like $60 now, but it's because it ships out of Brian's house. Like he self-published and shipped all of it. If you look, we didn't fill the 15s there, everybody. Just a note. And then since we're talking about this before I go, so you can find the book on Amazon, super easy. Right there. Rainbow, can't forget it. $60. Well worth it, I promise. I don't read. I told you I dropped out of college. I'm not a reader. It's a great book. If I had my camera on, I'd show you guys. And if my house wasn't a mess, it'd be on my bookshelf. But it's a great book. Got to have that. Mandatory. I make money with Bookmap. Actually, so yeah. What book was that again? Yep. Okay, good. So I got that for you. Cool. Maybe. Holding that previous day VWAP still. Maybe we get a little more. Any other questions, guys? It was really good to see everybody again. It's good to see some familiar names in here too. It's good you guys are staying up on it. Watch the interview I did with Scott, and then I would say if you're a VWAP guy, go to YouTube, just search Austin Silver, Brian Shannon, and you'll find me and Brian. We've done a couple. Here's me at the seminar. This one, episode 174. You know how it is. Like you start to get to know people and you do podcast after podcast after podcast. It's not even like a podcast. It's just like friends having a conversation. Me and Brian go right into it. I start asking about trailing stops for scalps and like anchoring VWAPs because I'm deep into it. So he likes my questions, I think, because we get into the nitty gritty. But yeah, like so we did one for his channel here. That one was the first one I think we did. He posted on his channel as well. I did this one with him back 11 months ago, got 7,000 views. This one 2 months ago, 7. So it's pretty popular. And that's my podcast, The Day Trading Show. So, okay, Bruce, I think I'm good to go. I got nothing else for everybody.